running, so I've had a whole bunch of problems with this. My screen recorders weren't working, my software decided to crash, drivers weren't working, so I fixed all this problem, and so here we are, we're back. So let's get down to what the tutorial is. Today's tutorial is on the Barstow Hump Yard. Now, as you can see right here, the Hump Yard has been a long-awaited addition to the Run8 game, I think we say. But there's a few things that you should know when you're doing this, and most of you have already probably used the Hump Yard, so most of this will be for review. But for those who just bought Run8 or have no idea how to actually operate the Hump Yard, or some tips and information, and for those who already know how to, I might have a few extra things that you never knew. So, in order to prepare your train for humping activities, you're going to go start your train up like it already is, make sure that's all running, your air pressure is all charged, yada yada yada. All okay. Alright. Let's go all the way back here. Back here, you're going to want to close both able cocks on your connecting locomotive and your rail car. Alright, now once that's closed, you're going to bleed off all the air from your train. So the reason we close the able cocks is to stop the train from bleeding out all the air from the train, including the locomotives. So now that we close it, it's only going to bleed out from the train. And to do that, we're going to click Control F7. Alright, all rail car brakes in the train bled. So now you can't use your train brake. So you're going to want to use your independent braking. It's usually nice to have an extra locomotive doing this, not only because if you have a long train, it can make it so it can go faster and more power, but also for more braking power. Alright, so that's good. So, release the parking brake. Alright, and let's move out. Shift C will allow you to show your train information up here. Now, another thing you're going to want to do is click Control F8. That will bring on your train car tags. So you can see around the yard there's a whole bunch of different tags. Right here is boron, etc. You're going to want to look at these train car tags and figure out where they each go. So, with that being said, slam the train out of the yard. Alright. Now that it's going up here, let's go all the way up to the hump yard and get down to some serious business. Alright, in order to bring up the hump yard tab information, you're going to click Control F6. Alright, you can see right here that it has all the information pre-stored on mine because I recently did this. So, track number 3 has Boron, the BOR, Arizona Central, Stockton, and Tulsa. Now, what you can do, and this is some information that those who haven't known yet, you can put in numbers like 1, 2, 12, or say something like that if you want. And basically what that does is if you have a train right there and you have way too many different destination tags, all you need to do is just type in a number right next to the train car tag and it'll sort it to that track. So say track 101, I want to set that to 1, alright? Then I would go over to my train car tag as it's coming up the hill right here and change the number on that tag to say, instead of just BOR for boron, I'd change it to BOR spacebar 1, and it'll just sense the 1 and use that. But for this purpose, we're just using the train car tag names. So find them on your train, put them into the log. Make sure hump controller is checked up here to make sure it's active, and auto pin puller when humping. Auto pin puller is what automatically pulls your pins on your couplers to push the trains over the hump. It'll do that automatically, but if you want to do it manually, which I highly do not suggest because sometimes there might be problems with that and the train can get stuck. If you want to, though, you can uncheck it. Alright, and then always save and apply hump settings, and then close it out. Alright, so now as it's starting to come up here, I'm gonna prepare myself. like this new computer, running about, what does it say right now? It's about 60 frames here in Barstow Yard. It's pretty cool. Alright, so this is what I'm going to show you guys. I want you, when you're coming up to the thing, add independent braking to your train and slow it down to about 1 mile an hour to 1.8. That's the ideal speed range for humping these trains. Now, the reason I say that is because if you go up to 2 or over, you might start to have problems with the hump yard switching the trains into the wrong tracks, splitting switches, and also shutting down. Because if you notice, if I open up the tab again, it says master reset and reset switch hump locks. Resetting the switch hump locks resets the switch all the switches down there. The master reset resets the engine, which run the program itself that runs the hump yard. Because yes, it is a separate program. So if you ever go over speed and it stops working, just pull them out. And I'll go over how to do that in a couple minutes. But first, I want to show you how to hump. Alright, taking it off right now. Now, what I'm going to do, I like it at 1.4 miles per hour. I'm going to click Control C. Alright, come on. Let's go. Alright, now click Control C. Control C as in Charlie. And you'll see right here, speed control on. And that'll hold it at that speed. What the speed control does is basically cruise controlling your car. It doesn't change what your brakes are. It just controls the amperage going through the traction motors in this case. And so keep that in mind, because once you release these train cars, you're going to roll down the hill back from the hump yard. So remember that. So as this first car is coming up, the boron car, we're gonna watch, because things still can happen. This is a little bit of a buggy update going on right now. And if we look over here, this yellow board right here, this is the ideal spot where your train will actually break apart. So usually by when it's 2/3 of the boxcar is through, it will split. So let's see here. Now it will tell you if you're on a multiplayer server, when you get uncoupled the train, it'll say train uncoupled or something like that, car uncoupled. It'll tell you the track number that it's going to, and you can always double check that it's going to the right track. And then it'll tell you train relinquished, respond as AI host. And basically what that means that it's been sent to the server and it's spawned right back on here as an AI train. And so that's how it's sent down here. I've heard that few updates coming up are leading on to AI trains, but I won't believe it until I see it. So right now it should disconnect these cars, and you'll see it up the top over here. Alright, here we go. There we go, track 1 to 3. Let's go into the right track. And now it's going to get disconnected. Alright, and away it goes. Down the tracks, and they automatically switch. Now, on the server it would disappear for a moment and respawn. Now that's not a problem. The only problem that I have is if you're going faster and you're doing that, it can cause problems, especially when you're switching to TUL and stuff like that. I suggest stopping before the next car is released. See, like this is boron and boron. Those would have no problem going into the tracks. But the moment you get something like this, like a wild card like this, come in, you want to stop the train and then let these go through these switches all the way down here. These ones all the way down here, because you'll somehow confuse the engine that runs these. So that's just one thing for multiplayer. What I mean by that number thing earlier, how open it up and you put maybe for track 1, for the tag is just 1, 2 is for 2. Well, what I mean by that is, if you go, like, say I'll take this one, boron. If you click on here and put a 1 in here, it will only read the 1 after the boron and send it right to that track corresponding with the 1. So a couple of servers are already doing that, which I know of, and it works really well. So if you know that these train car tags are going to the same location, somewhat, like if they're southbound, eastbound, westbound, northbound train, and you want them to go on a certain track, then you can just put the numbers afterwards on the tags right here. Another thing, when doing these hump operations, you're always going to want to maintain and watch the hump yard, make sure it doesn't overflow and that some of the train cars aren't split apart or have problems. That can always cause the server to crash and such. Coming back over here, if you have a small train like this, it'll be a smooth transition right over. What I'm doing is actually a bad thing. I'm actually going to hump these pigs right here, but that was my accident. Humping rules for normal and real operations for hump yards. You're not allowed to hump anything that's on something. So if it's a thing of tractors on a flat car, but if it's on there, you're not allowed to hump it. Now if it's an empty car, you can. If you're humping hazardous material tank cars and they're full, you can't hump them. You're not allowed to. Auto racks, but I've seen them humped before. But if they're empty, then you can hump them. The only exception is to pig cars and auto racks. Those cannot be humped. Other than that, that's the only guidelines that I give you for real world operations if you want to bring your realism up. I guess I should start critiquing the yard and giving you guys my ideas. What I'd like to see is the actual retarders get placed in here. As of right now, this is just probably default for right now, but you know, having the retarders in here, that'd be pretty nice. Server admins, heads up. This one's directed towards you mostly. Watch out for trolls. They will come up and set these switches, because yes, these are hand throws, and even though they are controlled by a computer, they will be reset, and it'll screw up the whole engine and cause your server to possibly crash, and also screw up pump operations or something. So I highly suggest you watch trolls, just for that reason. Developers, John, Greenstone, Michael, Brad, what I suggest is setting these to CTC switches, so it can be set on your dispatcher board in a small little panel for hump yards to either be CTC controlled, which means by the engine that runs this, or by hand throws. So either or, and that would be very nice, because then you will eliminate the problem with the trolls. Plus, if you put the CTC in here, it'll look like it should in real life. So the retarders, the CTC, changing these switches. Other than that, that's pretty much my only thing that I'd really like to see them do. Maybe put the rest of the tracks in for the hump yard, because I know they're missing a few. This track over here actually doesn't exist. This is all right here a maintenance yard. So all this, there's to be maintenance buildings here. There's supposed to be like 6 or 7 tracks right along here. Same goes for here. There's a couple more tracks that didn't put it. Another thing that I'd like to say about this is down here, the different hump yard tracks, leave 114 empty. Leave 114 empty for this track. The reason for that is that's the default track. So if there's a problem with any of these trains and they can't get humped, or it doesn't know where the tag is, or if there is no tag, it'll automatically default them to track 114. So leave track 114 empty, or have it so there's no tag in there, because that's the one track that everything defaults to.